The official story is just the beginning. As the first full day of the blackout dawns, the narrative you're being fed is simple, controlled, and designed to keep you calm. They tell you it's a power grid failure, a temporary setback, a problem already being solved by the best and brightest. But beneath the surface of these reassurances, a different story is unfolding, one that isn't being broadcast on the emergency channels. In the quiet hum of a world gone dark, whispers are starting to travel faster than any official report. Anomalies, coincidences that feel too perfect, events that defy the straightforward explanation we've been given. What if the blackout isn't an accident? What if it's a cover for something else entirely? We've been digging past the headlines and censored reports to uncover what's really happening in the shadows. The truth is far more complex and unsettling than you can imagine. Forget what you've been told, this is what you need to know. 1. The thirst, your first real test. When the lights go out, your first thought might be about the darkness, the silence, or the food in your fridge. But the most immediate and critical battle you'll face is the one for water. We take it for granted. A simple turn the faucet and it's there. But without electricity, the complex systems that deliver clean water to your home grind to a halt almost instantly. The pumps at municipal treatment plants and the booster stations that maintain pressure in the pipes all go silent. Suddenly, that endless supply is gone, and what's left in the system is all there is. This is the first and perhaps most important reality of a large-scale blackout that official reports often downplay. They talk about infrastructure, but we need to talk about survival. Water is everything. You need it for drinking to stay alive, for cooking to make your stored food edible, for basic hygiene to prevent the spread of disease, and for sanitation to manage waste. Within the first 24 hours, the lack of running water moves from an inconvenience to a life-or-death problem. The health risks are severe and arrive faster than you might think. Dehydration can set in within a day, leading to dizziness, confusion, and fatigue, making every other survival task infinitely harder. For children, the elderly, or those with medical conditions, the danger is even more acute. This is why preparation is not just a good idea, it's essential. The standard advice is to stockpile a minimum of 1 gallon of water per person per day. But in a real crisis, you'll want more. As soon as the power goes out, before the pressure is gone, fill your bathtubs, sinks, and any available pots or storage bins. This captured water can be used for sanitation and hygiene, saving your precious stored water for drinking. Having water filters and purification tablets is also non-negotiable, as you may eventually need to source water from less than ideal places. The grim truth is that when taps run dry, desperation quickly follows. The search for water can create friction and conflict in communities, turning neighbors into competitors. This is the unspoken danger of a blackout. The breakdown of social order when a basic necessity becomes scarce. Your personal supply is not just for hydration, it's your key to staying out of dangerous situations and maintaining your independence in a world suddenly thrown into chaos. 2. The hunger clock. Racing against spoiling. That humming appliance in your kitchen, the one you barely notice, has just become a ticking time bomb. When the power cuts out, your refrigerator and freezer start a countdown to 0, and all the fresh food inside is on the line. This is the second major battle of a blackout, one that begins the very moment the lights go out. Officials might talk about long-term food security, but the immediate crisis is the perishable food you have right now. You have about 4 hours before the food in your refrigerator enters the danger zone, where bacteria can multiply rapidly. Your freezer buys you a bit more time, maybe 24 to 48 hours, but only if it's full and you resist the urge to open it. Every time you open that door, you let the precious cold air escape, and the clock speeds up. This isn't just about losing money, it's about losing vital resources when you can't easily get more. Prioritization becomes your new survival skill. You need to take a quick strategic inventory. What needs to be eaten first? Fresh meats, dairy, and leftovers are at the top of the list. These are the items that will turn on you the fastest. Then you move to produce. It's a race you can't afford to lose. Once you've identified your immediate menu, the next challenge arises: how to cook it. Your electric stove and microwave are now useless metal boxes. This is where your preparation pays off. A camp stove, a barbecue grill, or a well-maintained fire pit set of dangers. You must use these cooking methods safely, and that means outdoors. Never ever use a grill or camp stove inside a house, garage, or even a tent. The carbon monoxide they produce is a silent, invisible killer that can incapacitate you before you even realize something is wrong. Efficiently rationing and using every part of your food is crucial. That half-eaten jar of salsa, it can flavor some rice. The vegetables that are starting to wilt, they can go into a soup. This is about being resourceful and smart, turning a potential disaster into a well-managed plan. The hunger clock is ticking, and winning this race means keeping yourself fed and strong for the challenges ahead. 3. Conquering the cold and dark. As night falls on day 1 of the blackout, 2 of humanity's oldest fears return with a vengeance: darkness and cold. We've pushed them away with the simple flick of a switch for so long that it's easy to forget how completely they can dominate our world. This isn't just about inconvenience, it's about safety, security, and sanity. The official narrative focuses on restoring power, but you need to focus on surviving until then. The darkness itself is a threat. It hides trip hazards, disorients you in your own home, and provides cover for anyone with bad intentions. This is why having a reliable light source is non-negotiable. While candles might seem like a romantic or classic choice, they are a significant fire hazard in a chaotic situation where a moment of carelessness can lead to disaster. Instead, you need to think in terms of practical, safe illumination. Stockpile flashlights, and even better, headlamp. A headlamp frees up both of your hands, which is invaluable when you're trying to cook, fix something, or navigate through your home. Make sure you have a substantial supply of batteries to power them. For broader, more stable light in a room, lanterns are an excellent choice. They can provide a steady glow that makes a space feel more normal and less oppressive. The other side of this coin is the cold. Without electricity, your furnace is dead. The temperature inside your home will slowly start to match the temperature outside. The key to managing heat is trapping what you have. Layering your clothing is the first and most effective step. Several thin layers are far warmer than one thick one. Have emergency blankets or high-quality sleeping bags ready. These are designed to reflect and retain your body heat, creating a warm pocket of air around you. You can also create your own heat sources safely. Heating bricks near a fire pit, if you have one, and then wrapping them in towels can create long-lasting, safe, radiant heaters you can place in your bed. A hot water bottle does the same job. However, the most critical warning is about carbon monoxide. The temptation to bring outdoor heating sources inside is a deadly one. Never use a propane stove, grill, or any unvented combustion device indoors. This invisible, odorless gas can kill you in your sleep. Conquering the cold and dark is about smart preparation and respecting the dangers. It's about keeping your environment safe so you can focus on the other challenges, managing waste without water. Of all the challenges a blackout throws at you, this is the one nobody likes to talk about, but it might be one of the most dangerous. What happens when you can't flush the toilet? The official reports will gloss over this, but the breakdown of sanitation is a fast track to a serious health crisis. Modern plumbing is a miracle we take for granted, whisking away waste and disease with a simple handle. When the water stops flowing, that system fails completely. Your toilet becomes a porcelain bowl of growing biohazards. It only takes a day for a non-flushing toilet, especially in a home with multiple people, to become a major source of dangerous bacteria like E. coli and Shigella. The risk of disease spreading through your home increases with every hour. This isn't just about unpleasant smells. It's about preventing a secondary crisis, a sickness outbreak when medical help is already strained or unavailable. So what's the solution? You need a plan for an emergency toilet. The most effective and widely recommended method is a simple 5-gallon bucket. By lining it with a heavy-duty trash bag, you create a basic, functional toilet. The key to managing this system is controlling odor and containing the waste. After each use, adding an absorbent material like sawdust, kitty litter, or even shredded newspaper can help neutralize the smell and make disposal easier. When the bag is about 2/3 full, you need to tie it off securely and store it in a designated, sealed container away from your living space until it can be disposed of safely. This brings us to hygiene. Your sanitation plan is useless without the supplies to keep yourself clean. Stockpiling soap, hand sanitizer, with at least 60% alcohol, wet wipes, and disposable gloves is not optional. It's a critical part of the system. You need to be militant about cleanliness, especially after handling waste or using your makeshift toilet. A simple lapse in hygiene can lead to illness that will incapacitate you, making all other survival efforts impossible. This isn't a glamorous topic, but managing sanitation effectively is a cornerstone of surviving a prolonged blackout. It's about protecting your health and the health of your family from an invisible threat that is just as real as the darkness or the cold. 5. The silence. Staying connected when the world goes mute. In the first moments of a blackout, your smartphone is your lifeline. It's your flashlight, your news source, and your connection to loved ones. But that connection is incredibly fragile, tethered to a battery percentage that is now a dwindling resource. The official emergency broadcasts might tell you to stay informed, but they rarely address the stark reality that your primary tool for doing so is on a countdown. When the cell towers get overloaded or their backup power fails and you have no way to recharge, your phone becomes little more than a glass and metal brick. This isolation is one of the most psychologically taxing parts of a blackout. The silence can be deafening, breeding anxiety and fear of the unknown. That's why your first priority must be aggressive battery conservation. Your phone is no longer for scrolling through social media or playing games. It's a critical emergency device. The moment the power goes out, switch it to airplane mode to stop it from constantly searching for cellular and Wi-Fi signals. Dim your screen brightness to the lowest possible setting and close all background apps. You should only turn the phone fully on for brief scheduled check-ins or in a true emergency. Of course, conservation alone isn't enough. You need backup power. Portable power banks are essential, but even they have a finite charge. Use them strategically, rationing their power to get the most out of your device over several days. For more robust, long-term communication, you have to think beyond your phone. A simple pair of walkie-talkies can be a game-changer for staying in touch with family or immediate neighbors, creating a small, local network that doesn't rely on any external infrastructure. For those with the right license and equipment, a ham radio can be a literal lifesaver, allowing communication over vast distances. And in a world where digital convenience has vanished, don't forget the old-school solutions. What if your phone dies completely? Do you know your parents' or your doctor's phone number by heart? Most of us don't anymore. Having a physical, written list of important contacts and addresses is a simple but crucial piece of preparation. Overcoming the silence isn't just about having the right gadgets. It's about shifting your mindset from constant connectivity to strategic communication. 6. Winning the war in your head. The most overlooked battle in any blackout is the one fought inside your own mind. While you're busy securing water, rationing food, and finding light, a quieter, more insidious threat is creeping in: the psychological toll of the situation. Emergency planners talk about physical preparedness, but they rarely address the mental and emotional strain that comes from being suddenly disconnected from the world. The constant hum of modern life, the electricity, the traffic, the digital noise is gone, replaced by an unnerving silence. This abrupt shift, combined with the uncertainty and isolation, can lead to a potent mix of boredom, frustration, anxiety, and even depression. Your mind can become your own worst enemy, replaying worst-case scenarios and amplifying every strange noise you hear in the dark. Keeping your morale and mental health intact is just as important as keeping your body fed and hydrated. This is where distraction and engagement become powerful survival tools. It's not about ignoring the reality of the situation, but about giving your brain a necessary break from the stress. This is the time to dust off those board games and decks of cards that have been sitting in the closet. Engaging in a game with family members fosters teamwork, encourages lighthearted competition, and most importantly, creates a pocket of normalcy in a very abnormal world. Storytelling, a tradition as old as humanity itself, can be a wonderful way to connect and pass the long, dark hours. You can also turn inward for mental activity. Journaling your experiences can be a therapeutic outlet, allowing you to process your thoughts and fears. Sketching, writing, or any creative hobby that doesn't require electricity can keep you focused and productive. Don't underestimate the power of sound, or the lack thereof. The profound silence of a blackout can be deeply unsettling. A simple, battery-powered radio can be a huge comfort. Even if it's just playing music, the sound can break the oppressive quiet and make you feel less alone. Finding news broadcasts can provide crucial information, but be mindful of your consumption. Constant negative updates can increase anxiety. Sometimes even the static between stations is enough to create a sense of background noise that soothes the nerves. Maintaining your mental fortitude is the foundation of your entire survival plan. A clear, calm mind makes better decisions, solves problems more effectively, and has the resilience to endure whatever. Health, hygiene, and helpless dependence. When you're making your blackout checklist, it's easy to focus on the big three: water, food, and light. But there's another category of supplies that are just as critical, and forgetting them can lead to a crisis just as severe. These are the items that maintain health, prevent illness, and care for the most vulnerable members of your household, including your pets. The official advice often stops at the basics, but true preparedness goes deeper. Let's start with medications. For millions of people, a daily prescription is not optional. It's life-sustaining. A blackout doesn't stop the need for insulin, blood pressure medication, or asthma inhalers. You absolutely must have a backup supply. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about getting an extra month's worth for your emergency kit. Don't forget over-the-counter staples like pain relievers, allergy medicine, and antacids. A simple headache or upset stomach becomes a major problem when you can't just run to the store. For temperature-sensitive medications like insulin, you need a non-electric plan. A good quality cooler with reusable ice packs is essential. You'll need to be diligent about keeping them cold, but it's a manageable task that can save a life. Next is personal hygiene. This isn't about vanity, it's about health. Poor hygiene is a breeding ground for infection and illness. The last things you want to deal with in a crisis: stockpiling soap, toothpaste, deodorant, and especially feminine hygiene products and diapers is crucial. Being able to stay clean provides a massive boost to morale and physical well-being. Finally, don't forget your pets. They are completely dependent on you, and their needs don't vanish when the power does. You need to have enough of their food and clean water set aside. If they require daily medication, those need to be part of your backup supply as well. Waste management is also a factor, so have extra cat litter or waste bags on hand. In a stressful and potentially chaotic scenario, having carriers and leashes readily accessible is vital. If you need to evacuate or simply move your pets to a safer location, you won't have time to search for them. These forgotten necessities are the pillars that support your primary survival efforts. Without them, your well-laid plans for food and water can be quickly undermined by sickness, infection, or the needs of a helpless family member. 8. Bolting the doors. Surviving the darkness with security in mind. When the sun goes down on a world without power, the darkness brings more than just cold. It brings a heightened sense of vulnerability. This is a stark reality that official reports often shy away from discussing, but it's one you must confront head-on. A widespread blackout is an open invitation for those with criminal intent. The electronic eyes and ears we rely on for safety, burglar alarms, security cameras, and motion-activated floodlights are all silent. The absence of streetlights and lit-up windows provides the perfect cover for looters and burglars. This increased risk isn't just paranoia, it's a logical consequence of a system failure. Your home, once your fortress, can suddenly feel exposed. This is why reinforcing your physical security is one of the most important actions you can take on day one. It's time for a low-tech security audit. Go through your home and check every point of entry. Lock every door and window and use the deadbolts. For an extra layer of security on sliding doors or windows, a simple wooden dowel placed in the track can be an incredibly effective barrier. You are creating physical obstacles that take time and make noise to bypass, which are two things a battery-operated motion sensor lights can be a fantastic deterrent. Placed strategically, they can startle an intruder and alert you to movement outside your home, breaking the cloak of darkness they depend on. However, your personal security shouldn't exist in a vacuum. This is a time to look beyond your own four walls and connect with your neighbors. A community that communicates is a safer community. Coordinate a simple community watch plan. Agree to keep an eye on each other's properties and have a pre-arranged signal for trouble. There is strength in numbers, and a vigilant neighborhood is a much harder target than a collection of isolated homes. Finally, you need a family safety plan. Everyone in your household should know what to do in case of a break-in. Have potential escape routes planned. While we hope for the best, it's wise to have defensive tools accessible and know how to use them. This isn't about becoming a vigilante, it's about being prepared to protect yourself and your loved ones when the systems designed to do so have failed. Security in a blackout is an active, ongoing process, not a passive one. 9. Taming the thermostat. Surviving a powerless climate. Your home is your shelter, but without electricity, it loses its ability to fight back against the elements. Your HVAC system, the invisible force that keeps you comfortable year-round, is offline. Suddenly, your house is just a box, and the temperature inside will begin to creep toward the temperature outside. This is a critical survival challenge that is often underestimated. Extreme temperatures, whether hot or cold, are not just uncomfortable, they are life-threatening. The authorities may talk about staying sheltered, but they don't always detail the immediate and active steps you need to take to regulate your home's climate. In cold weather, your mission is to trap every bit of heat you can. Start by consolidating your living space. Close off any unused rooms to reduce the area you need to keep warm. Seal the drafts coming from windows and doors with towels, blankets, or weather stripping. Every bit of cold air you keep out is a small victory. Layering your clothing is your first line of personal defense, and high-quality thermal blankets or sleeping bags are essential for sleeping safely through a cold night. You can create makeshift heaters by safely warming bricks near a fire and wrapping them in towels to place in your living area, but you must be extremely cautious. Any combustion-based heat source, like a wood stove, must be properly ventilated to prevent the deadly buildup of carbon monoxide. Conversely, a blackout during a heat wave can be just as dangerous. Your home can quickly turn into an oven. Your strategy here is to become a fortress against the sun. Block all direct sunlight by covering windows with blinds, curtains, or even reflective foil. This simple act can dramatically lower the indoor temperature. Dress in lightweight, loose-fitting, and breathable clothing. Hydration becomes even more critical in hot weather, so your water discipline needs to be strict. While you can't create cold air, you can create airflow. Battery-powered fans can make a significant difference. You can also cool your body directly by using damp cloths on your neck, wrists, and forehead. The speed at which a home can become dangerously hot or cold is alarming. Hypothermia and heat stroke are silent killers that can develop quickly, especially in the very young, the elderly, or those with existing health conditions. Taming the temperature in your powerless home requires immediate action and constant vigilance. It's a hands-on battle against the elements that you must be prepared to fight oversights that become big problems. It's day one, and the reality of the blackout is setting in. This is the moment when all your preparation, or lack thereof, comes into sharp focus. The hard truth that no one really talks about is that even people who think they are prepared often discover critical flaws in their plans. It's the small overlooked details that can cascade into major life-altering problems. This is the moment you discover that the batteries you stockpiled for your flashlights are the wrong size. Or worse, you open a fresh pack only to find they've been sitting in a drawer for a decade and are completely dead. Suddenly your plan for light in the darkness is gone. That powerful radio you bought to stay informed is just a plastic box. It's a simple mistake, but one that leaves you blind and deaf to what's happening. The same goes for communication. You might have a top-of-the-line power bank, but if you forgot to charge it in the last 6 months, it's just dead weight. That moment you plug your phone in and see no charging symbol is a moment of pure, gut-wrenching failure. These aren't dramatic, Hollywood-style disasters. They are quiet, mundane failures born from simple oversight, and they can cost you dearly. It's realizing you have plenty of food but no can opener. It's having a great grill but no fuel. These small gaps in your prep are now gaping holes in your ability to survive. Perhaps one of the most dangerous oversights is in sanitation. You remembered the water and food, but you forgot about trash bags, toilet paper, or kitty litter for a makeshift toilet. Now your home is on a fast track to becoming a biohazard, creating a health risk that is far more dangerous than the blackout itself. Likewise, in your haste, you may have forgotten to secure a back window or a basement door. That one unsecured entry point is an open invitation for anyone looking to take advantage of the chaos. In a blackout, your survival doesn't just depend on the big items you bought, it hinges on the tiny details you checked, double-checked, and maintained. The lesson learned in the dark of day one is brutal and swift. Preparation is not a one-time shopping trip. It is a constant, diligent process of checking, testing, and rotating your supply. Those small, seemingly insignificant details you ignored yesterday have now become the biggest threats you face today. 11. The currency of skills. What you have is less important than what you can do. As the first day of the blackout grinds on, a new and powerful reality begins to emerge, one that goes far beyond the supplies you've stockpiled. In a world without power, the value of things starts to plummet, while the value of skills skyrockets. This is the great equalizer of a prolonged crisis. Your expensive electronics are useless, your financial assets are inaccessible, and the fancy car in your garage is just a large metal sculpture. What truly matters now is what you can do with your own two hands and the knowledge you carry in your head. The person who knows how to purify water from a questionable source is now wealthier than the person with a full pantry they can't open or cook. The neighbor who can build a simple rocket stove from a few tin cans to boil water is more valuable to the community than someone with a freezer full of gourmet food that is rapidly spoiling. This is the new economy of survival, and it's based entirely on practical ability. The skills that our ancestors relied on daily have become niche hobbies in the modern world, but in a blackout, they are transformed into life-sustaining assets. Can you tie a few basic, strong knots? Can you read a physical map? Do you know basic first aid beyond putting on a bandage? Can you sharpen a knife, mend torn clothing, or secure a loose fence post? These seemingly minor abilities are now the currency that can be traded for goods, creates a new social dynamic. The quiet guy down the street who was always tinkering in his garage might now be the most important person on the block because he knows how to repair a generator or reinforce a door. The grandmother who has been canning vegetables from her garden for 50 years holds the key to long-term food preservation. In this new world, your worth is defined by your contribution. This is a crucial lesson that goes untold in standard preparedness guides. They focus on the what to buy, what to store, but they neglect the who you need to become. The most important prep you can make is investing in yourself. Learning a new skill, whether it's from an old book, an online video, or a community class, is a deposit in a bank that can never be frozen or lose its value. Because when the lights go out, what you have in your basement is a finite resource. But what you have in your mind is a renewable asset that can save not only yourself, but also those around you. 12. The slow decay of information and the rise of rumor. On day one of the most dangerous and least understood aspects of a blackout isn't the lack of power, but the slow, corrosive decay of reliable information. In our hyper-connected world, we are addicted to a constant stream of news, updates, and data. When that fire hose of information is suddenly choked to a trickle, a vacuum is created, and this vacuum is never empty for long. It is quickly filled by rumor, speculation, and fear. The official story, if you can even get it from a battery-powered radio, is often slow, vague, and designed to prevent panic. But the human mind craves detail and certainty. When the facts are scarce, we start to create our own. That strange light someone saw in the sky, it wasn't a flare, it must have been something more sinister. The sirens you heard an hour ago, that never came back, something terrible must have happened in that direction. This is how the rumor mill begins, and without the internet or 24-hour news to debunk it, it spins out of control with terrifying speed. Hearsay becomes fact. A misunderstanding down the street becomes a confirmed report of looting 2 blocks over. The information you receive becomes a distorted game of telephone, with each retelling adding a new layer of fear and exaggeration. This creates a psychological fog of war where it's impossible to distinguish between a real threat and a phantom menace. Acting on bad information can be just as deadly as the blackout itself. Do you barricade yourself in because of a false rumor of riots, cutting yourself off from potential community aid? Do you flee your home based on a misunderstood report of a fire, leaving your supplies behind? Making life or death decisions based on whispers and gossip is a terrifying prospect, yet it becomes the new normal. Surviving this information blackout requires a new kind of discipline. You must become a ruthless filter for every piece of news you hear. Question the source. Consider the motive. Cross-reference with trusted neighbors if you can. It's about developing a healthy skepticism without succumbing to complete paranoia. A difficult balancing act. You have to learn to trust your own direct observations more than the stories that travel on the wind. The silence of a blackout is deceiving. The real noise is the storm of misinformation that rages in the absence of truth, and navigating it is one of the most critical unspoken challenges you will face.